I am so excited, guys, because today I am bringing you the kitchen review. Hey you, and welcome to today's video. Welcome back to all my Brittany fam, and if you are new here, my name is Brittany. I love all things beauty and lifestyle, so if you're interested in that sort of content, hit the subscribe button below and let's get into this video. So if you guys follow me on social media, you know that I've been hinting at a kitchen renovation, and I've been wanting to do this nearly 4 years since I bought the house, and now the wait is over, and I'm gonna show you 5 major tips, things that I put into this renovation, how I selected them and why, and maybe these tips will help you in kitchen selection. So when I bought this house almost 4 years ago, I fell in love with it. It was just right for me. It was a godsend. It checked off all of the ticks in the boxes except location. I wanted it to be on the side of town that I'm from, but on the side of town that I'm from, it's not cheap. For this kind of house, it would cost me more than $100,000 extra dollars on top of what I paid just if I picked this house and put it over there. So I had to give a little at the location, but I also received as far as the location is concerned as well. But the one thing about this house that I didn't like was the kitchen. I loved the design. It was open concept. My house is only 1,560 square feet. That small of a house, the way that they designed the kitchen is pretty awesome. The main thing I didn't like about the kitchen, number one, was the countertops. The countertops was this tannish beige formica. It looked so dingy and dirty and grimy, and it had burn marks on it, and I was really surprised that the seller didn't update at least the countertops, because they had updated a few other things in the house. Like they put a deck in the backyard, wood floors throughout the house, they put pendant lights in, track lighting in. I mean, you would have think that they would have put that into the countertops, but they didn't. So that gave me something to look forward to updating in my house. And I knew that I wanted to go light because the kitchen cabinets are a darker wood, and so are the wood floors, and a lot of the living room furniture matches that as well. So I wanted to brighten up the kitchen because this particular kitchen doesn't have any windows. That's one of the major things that I do not like about the kitchen, other than the countertops. The third thing I don't like about the kitchen is that it doesn't have an island. I knew that if I went with a light colored countertop, that would really liven up the kitchen. And I knew I didn't want to go with a marble. Marble is very porous and stains easy. Water can get into it and compromise it. And in a kitchen and a bathroom, obviously your countertops and your shower take on a lot of water. So I was able to cross that one off the list. The next big thing was granite. Although I like granite, granite is one of the most durable. It's heat resistant, not as porous. You do have to seal it, I think twice a year, and it's sealed when it's installed. Other than that, it's great. It doesn't crack easy. Granite is one of the best out there. But the thing that I didn't like about granite is so busy. As far as patterns are concerned, you have so many different patterns that you can choose from. There weren't enough light colors that didn't have so much busyness in it. Really hard for me to select a granite. The next option was quartz, and the reason why I didn't go with quartz, although quartz is one of the best because it's not porous at all, and the reason why it's not porous is because quartz is actually man-made. It's not a natural stone like granite, marble, or quartzite. Quartz actually has polymers that are put into it. It's mostly quartz, but it has polymers that are added to it that makes it not porous at all. So you don't have to seal quartz. You can use any cleaner on it you want to because you don't have to seal it. So quartz was really a good option, but the reason I didn't go with quartz is because quartz isn't cheap, number one, and number two, quartz didn't have that many pattern selections. It was mostly white and gray, and that was kind of just it. Like, they had some other options, other variations, but along those same lines. And so they talked to me about a quartzite, and this was over the span of like 2 weeks. I went to so many different places, called so many different places, and I finally went to his showroom and I saw a slab and I said, "What's that?" And he goes, "Quartzite." It was just gleaming and glittering under the lights. It was beautiful. It was white. It had silver specks in it and like little spots that looked like crystal. And it was actually called crystal white quartzite. It was absolutely beautiful. And when I looked at it, I was like, I like that. But I figured because it was so beautiful, I was like, that's expensive. That's probably out of my budget. And he said, well, it just depends. Some quartzite is more expensive than granite and even marble. Like, it really just depends on how much you need, the particular one that you are choosing. Let me just run a quote on it and I'll let you know the price. And the whole time I was sitting waiting on the quote, it took about 10-15 minutes. I was like, I know this is gonna be insanely absurd, but I'm gonna wait for the number and let's just see what happens. And when he came back, the number was actually lower than what I had been quoted before for granite, and it was prettier than the granite that I was quoted for. It also included a free sink of my choosing, and I ended up going with the single bowl stainless steel. I've always wanted a single bowl. My taste when it comes to home design is really eclectic. It's not one thing. There's like different elements of Scandinavian, farmhouse, traditional, contemporary, modern that I love from each. I knew I wanted a one bowl sink because farmhouse sinks typically have that one bowl, and I think that's so beautiful, but I knew I wanted it stainless steel because I also like the modern look. I did get a really good discount. It probably would have been more expensive than what I had been quoted for the granite, but because it's COVID and a lot of people aren't buying right now, I got like a huge discount that helped me out a lot. And so I ended up going with the crystal white, and guys, I love it. It is so beautiful, and when the lights hit it, it sparkles. It is just like the most amazing thing. I knew I wanted it in my kitchen. I said, this is it. This is gonna live it up. It doesn't have too much black. It's got the right amount of gray, and it's got more white than anything. And that's what's so amazing about stone, natural stone that comes from the earth. You can't make this stuff up. It just forms so beautifully from what God has put on this beautiful green earth. It's amazing that it can be quarried out of the ground or a mountain and put inside of your house. And so I'm so excited to have natural stone. That was another reason why I didn't go with quartz. I knew I wanted to go with quartzite because I absolutely wanted a natural stone. Stone is timeless. It will never go out of style. And I knew that it would add value to my house. But then he kind of threw in a kicker, and I didn't know this. I was expecting to choose a stone that was gonna match the current backsplash that I had. I thought was decent. I didn't hate it. I didn't necessarily like the color, but the pattern didn't bother me at all. So I was okay with keeping my backsplash. I just wanted to choose a countertop that would work with that, but would also work with it if I updated the backsplash and color of the cabinets later on. Because eventually I would like to paint the cabinets like a white or a gray, but for right now, I just wanted to focus on the countertops because I need to take one step at a time financially, you know what I mean? He kind of threw in a kicker when he told me that, hey, when they get ready to tear out your old countertops, your backsplash is going to crack. I didn't even think about it until he said it, but he's right. The way that it connects at the seam, at the joint, the backsplash kind of has to be interrupted so that they can get the countertop out. So he was like, I'm gonna suggest that you choose a backsplash to go with your countertops. So he had a few different options. There was a white subway tile. There was some different stones, like gray stones, like a tan stone that was very beautiful. They also had a clear glass with a white backing. I held each and every one of them up to the crystal white quartzite under the lights. And in your mind, you kind of have to imagine what you have in your house or what you're going for to see which backsplash color is going to match. I ended up choosing the glass, which I think they call it a lucite, and it's basically a clear subway tile, but it was so beautiful against the crystal white quartzite countertops under the lights. Like, it sparkled, it brightened it up, it almost reflected back at it. It was gorgeous. That's what I ended up going with, and I am so happy. It is so beautiful. And the installation process, redoing this kitchen, was very stressful, and I didn't even do the work. They came in and took measurements before the actual install date to verify what they had quoted. The day of the installation, there was a crew that came in and took more exact measurements. It was a full day of countertop installation where they brought in the stone that I chose, and then they took the stone off the back of the truck and actually set up a workstation in my front yard and cut the stone right on site, and then brought it in and installed it. I'm so glad that they were able to save the crown molding, because I have crown molding that runs underneath the countertops on my bar, and I really didn't want to lose that. But they did warn me that that might break when they took the old countertops off. The installers were able to save that, and I was very happy. And that took a full day. So at the end of day one, it was just countertops installed. But the next day, they were bringing in another crew to install the backsplash. So on day two, my countertops were all installed, already sealed. It looked great, but my backsplash was all demoed, so it looked kind of funny. A different crew came in and installed new drywall at the backsplash location, and then they started installing the new backsplash, and that took another full day. So we're already 2 work days in just on countertops and backsplash, but I'm really happy with it, and it is absolutely gorgeous. And what I love about it is whether I paint my cabinets white later on or gray later on, it's going to match so beautifully. White cabinets will pull the white out of the stone, and gray cabinets will pull the gray out of the stone. But it also matches with the dark mahogany brown that I have on my cabinets right now. So it's such a versatile look as far as countertops is concerned. Whether you like a dark cabinet look or a light cabinet look, this is a really great option. So then on day 3, the crew came in to install cabinet hardware on all of my millwork. I didn't have any drawer pulls or cabinet door pulls. I think that they're very sleek. They match all of the stainless steel appliances that I have. I didn't have to buy any appliances because I pretty much already had new appliances when I moved into the house. The refrigerator was new along with my washer and dryer, and the dishwasher also, and I got that brand new about almost 2 years ago. The stove and microwave were fairly new because the house was only 4 years old when I bought it. So I didn't have to update any of the appliances with this renovation. I love that stainless look, and because the sink is stainless, I wanted to tie in the cabinet pulls with a simple stainless, long, sleek, classic, elegant cabinet pull. And the ones that you see are the ones that I chose, and I'm very happy with that selection. Now, another thing you should know about kitchen countertops, when you go with a stone countertop, they need to undermount the sink. When the sink is undermounted, you have more countertop that is exposed, and you want to expose those countertops because you paid for them. So you want to be able to see them because they're beautiful and they liven up your kitchen. So it's good to have an undermounted sink. They did throw in the sink. Like I said, it's a single bowl, but what I didn't know is the disposal that I had to be replaced with that sink. When the countertop guys come in and put in that new sink, before they lay the countertops on it, they have to disconnect your water and all of your plumbing. But because they're not plumbers, they're not going to hook back up your water or any of your plumbing to the new sink. So I actually had to bring in a plumber on day 3 to reinstall all of the plumbing, the new disposal. I've got a new faucet, and I actually went with the spring-loaded stainless steel faucet. I wanted it to match the sink and all of the stainless steel appliances and the stainless steel cabinet pulls. I wasn't really sure what the difference between this type of faucet was versus the one that I had, because I had a regular pull faucet before and I figured I could just use that one. But the plumber that came to quote the job told me earlier on that if I didn't have the seal that came with that original faucet, since I was mounting the faucet directly on the stone countertop, not on the plate that comes with the faucets, that I would need the seal to properly seal off any water from getting from the faucet into the stone. And so I ended up just buying a new faucet. I think he could have used like a silicone, but I just want to go ahead and update anyway, because what I've learned about these spring faucets, that they apparently last longer than the regular pool faucets. The spring on the normal pool faucets is inside of the faucet itself, and it's an aluminum spring that goes out easily, versus these newer springs that are made out of a stronger metal that are on the outside, so they're not exposed to the water, and they're a lot stronger, a lot more durable, and they last longer, and they look really, really nice. Very, very happy with the look because it ties into the kitchen so beautifully. The lights, and this is a whole thing because lighting is a whole mood. I had an electrician also come in on day 3 to install new lights in the kitchen. So when I bought this house, the kitchen actually had can lights in it when it was built, but for some reason the seller had taken all of those can lights out and changed them to pendant lighting. And I didn't realize it till I was up in the attic the other day. We saw the housing for the can lights just sitting up in the attic. And I called the electrician. I said, you know what, I have can light openings in my ceiling and I want to put the can light housing back in the ceiling and take out this pendant lighting, because what was happening, the pendant lighting, they hang from the ceiling, and the pole that it hung from was like 4 or 5 feet long, and the light of course is at the bottom of that pole shining directly down. What happens when you do that, you lower the lighting by the length of the pole. In my instance, the first 5 foot from the ceiling to the top of the light was dark because there was no light above that, and because it was shining directly down, it only covered a certain amount of square footage in the kitchen. And though I had 4 of them, it still wasn't enough light, and I knew that I needed to go back to the can lights, because can lights are up high, and the way that they shine down, they cast light on a greater area of square footage, and that's what I needed. Because the kitchen and bathrooms and work areas, like in your garage, you do task in those type of settings, so you need what they call task lighting, and task lighting is normally bright daylight light so that you can see everything that you're doing. It is properly illuminated and there's no loss of light. But instead of putting those can lights back in, he gave me an option, a simple LED light, literally about this thick, this round. You install them from below, stick them up in the opening for your can light. It's like a little plug. You plug it into the wiring that's up there. Now when you originally do it, you want to have an electrician set it up for you, but after that you can maintain it yourself. And because the light doesn't have a light bulb, it's literally like just LED strips inside of it, when the light goes out, instead of a bulb, you get the whole light, the housing for it essentially, and you just install that. And it has 3 different settings. It has a low setting, a medium setting, and a high setting, which the high setting is the daylight setting, and we're talking kelvins. And if you know about lighting, you understand kelvins. Daylight is the brightest, I think it's like 5,000 kelvins, and then you have a medium white light, which is like 4,000 kelvins, and then you have like a low setting of like 3,000 kelvins. A standard light bulb I think is like 27. If you want the big bright white lights, you have to go with the 5,000 daylight, and that's what I needed in this kitchen. And as you can see, I really don't even have to say much. The lighting in here is now amazing, and because it's so bright, it hits the countertops beautifully, and you can see all of the sparkles, especially at night. The countertops kind of just come alive. They're so beautiful. There are some other things that I want to do eventually. I'm gonna paint the cabinets white or gray. I'm leaning more towards gray though. I also want to redo the kitchen floor to like a gray wood looking tile. But for now, those are the 5 things that I did. The countertops, the backsplash, cabinet pulls, the new sink with the new faucet, and the lighting. 5 major components. And when I tell you, when you walk into this house it feels completely different now because of the kitchen. So eventually I probably will paint the cabinets like a white or gray. I'm leaning more towards gray though, because I love gray. It's one of my favorite colors. And I also want to redo the kitchen floor to like a gray wood looking tile. That is all. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and that you found some of the tidbits helpful for you if you ever plan on doing a kitchen renovation. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. And if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Watching to the end of the video does help my YouTube channel, so I really appreciate you. And if you're not already part of the family, hit the subscribe button below, and I will see you all soon in my next video. But until then, be your own kind of beautiful. Mwah.